hard work and the effort and the investments for granted, and we know that this is a really hard time for everyone with competing priorities, but we have to keep with it, and we know that your hard work will demonstrate all you've done, and I know there's more work to come, but just profound gratitude to be where we are under this incredible leadership. Leader Peisch is here too, which is an honor. So just thank you. Full circle moment, having them back a year later to report on what they started and where we're going. So
where are the children though? That was
bad. We didn't pick
but I really like the kids. They're very cute.
We didn't pick the time, so I don't know who to blame for the time. They're napping. So it is our official nap time. But now it is my honor to introduce a tremendous friend to Ellis, Chairman Aaron Michaelwitz, who I'm sure everyone in this room knows, but he's not just a champion for Ellis. We happen to be in his district, which is super cool. But he's done so much to uplift our sector in so many ways, and of course championing C3 grants and making those permanent. But even before that, I just want to shine a light on reimbursement rates and the rate reserve, which is so important and really uplifted our teachers for many years before C3, and remains critically important. And I know you're going to have such a hard job, extra hard, with all the pressure from everywhere and not the full support we need from everywhere. And so just thank you for remembering this important work and for being a student.
This is a new one for me, so I'm going to try this. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Ellis. Welcome to the 3rd Suffolk District, which is my home. And I'm very honored to have Ellis in my district. But I'm also honored to have this distinguished group here today. You know, anytime, I'm in the middle of the budget meetings and we're running around crazy right now, but the administration called me and said, we're going to have a bunch of secretaries come into your neighborhoods and talk. And I said, well, I got to be there, and I can't let them walking around without me. But I'm here because I'm really proud of the work that's being announced today, the work that's been done, and also anytime I get a chance to uplift Ellis and uplift Lauren is a good day for me. And you notice how smooth she was. She said all the work that I was going to do. She was very smooth about that. We're working on it. We're working on these things. We're doing it. We're going to do our best in this tight economic situation that we're dealing with. I'm joined here by Leader Alice Peisch, who was chair of education for too long. Education conversations, she is my first phone call that we make, that me and the speaker make in relation to these discussions. We're joined by Chair McMurtry as well, and Senator Oliveira as well. And I just think, it shows us being down here, wanting to listen and learn and talk about what we can be as being partners to the administration, coming from the legislature. We have been partners over the last 2+ years. Particularly in this space. This is something that every cycle, every legislative cycle, every budget cycle, we have continued conversations about what we can be doing to lift up the early education world, to make sure it was eye-opening, as I always say, during COVID, how important this sector was to our economy. And it was immediate, right afterwards, I think the other report came out, the commission report came out, and we immediately tried to get to work in relation to how we could find ways strategically through whether it's budget initiatives or legislative initiatives to make sure that we are building a better sector here, not just for the providers, but for the workers in particular. Those that are continuously doing the day in, day out work in helping move our economy, keep our economy moving forward by providing these services to our families. And so we are very all in on this conversation. We've been all in for a little while. We're going to continue to be all in going forward. And so I'm very thankful that the administration is all in on this conversation as well. So thank you all for being here. It is now my job to turn it over to this cavalcade of stars over here. And I think I'm going to start with Secretary Tutwiler, who I just learned his new nickname is Baby Shaq. And then that fits very appropriately. When he walks into a room, he commands a presence, that's for sure. But they're also joined by Secretary Howe, Secretary Jones, Commissioner Kershaw, and Chair Balsito. So, Secretary, please take it away. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you so much. And for the record, typically when I have the opportunity to speak publicly, I do make sure that folks know that I am Pat Tutwiler, not Shaquille O'Neal. Some people actually need to know that. Or not quite sure. It is so wonderful to be here this afternoon, and I really do mean that. And I'm going to say something that's a bit selfish. I was really looking forward to coming here and being in this space, being in this school, which this is the second time we've had the pleasure of being here, being in this space with all of you, incredible advocates, educators, people who are values aligned, in this current context in which we find ourselves. It was important to me, it's heartening to me, to be here to have this conversation in this context when we see the kind of signals, the kinds of messages, the executive orders that are coming from Washington, D.C. So selfishly, I am so thrilled, and I needed this today. It's great to be here with you. I want to start by thanking Lauren and her incredible crew for hosting us today. Again, my second time here. This is an amazing place, and this room is just absolutely breathtaking. Thank you again. I don't know where Lauren is. There she is. Thank you so much. I have the pleasure of serving on this interagency task force as one of the co-chairs. And to my left are two incredible teammates who also serve as co-chairs. Chairman Michaelwitz has already introduced them. Economic Development Secretary Yvonne Howe, Labor and Workforce Development Secretary Lauren Jones, and in close partnership as a cherished teammate with us in this work is EEC Commissioner Amy Kershaw, a person who I have incredible respect for and really enjoy working alongside. I also like working with you all. We're not going to get in trouble up here today. Indeed. And I also want to recognize, I want to do something that my colleague Paul Balsito always does. He begins with gratitude, whether it's at any meeting, any public event, and I'd like to do so in this way. I want to start by thanking the team at EEC, the Department of Early Education and Care, and I see some of them sprinkled about. Of course, day in, day out, they do incredible work serving the sector, but they leaned in such substantive ways to getting this report to the finish line. The work of the Interagency Task Force could not happen without your support. Thank you for all of the work you do behind the scenes. We also have members of the Early Education and Care Board here. If I could just ask you to stand really quickly and be recognized. It is a pleasure and an honor to work alongside you as a fellow board member. And then finally, I'd like to lift up my guide, Chairman Paul Balsito, who is an incredible leader, unwavering in this work. It's an honor to work with you. Thank you for all that you do. So Chairman Michaelwitz has already dutifully acknowledged the elected officials that we have here today. I just want to say to you all, thank you for your support. We've done incredible historic things for the early education sector over the past 2 years. That would not happen without your support, without your understanding. I want to thank all of you for being here and for your ongoing support. And then finally, we've engaged again in a of collecting feedback, thinking deeply, partnering deeply with agencies across state government. We had some partners who worked with us to make this all come to life. If I could just really quickly shout out our friends and colleagues of the Boston Consulting Group, Lisa and Emily, who I saw seated right there. Just raise your hands real quick. Thank you. And also our partners from Neighborhood Villages who leaned in substantively, Allison and Amaris, who are both here. Thank you all for your And I'll bring the thank yous to an end by celebrating and lifting up two of my teammates who have done incredible work over the past year in partnership with our colleagues from other secretariats. Mark Riley, who is the Chief Operating Officer. And also my colleague Alana Davidson, who's right, telling me don't do this. I want to thank you both for your tireless dedication to this work. It is an honor also to work alongside you. I appreciate you. The report and recommendations that are released today, as I said, are a culmination of more than a year of work. In January of 24, Governor Healey signed Executive Order 625, establishing this interagency task force on ensuring affordable, high-quality child care. The task force mission, clear and uncomplicated, to advise the governor on the development of a whole of government approach and to increasing affordable, high-quality child care. This means coordinating all of our efforts across the secretariats, all 11 of them, to ensure 4 things: access, affordability, equity, and quality. Our objectives included looking at practices in other states and other countries as well to think about what are the ways that we can think about reducing costs and increasing capacity and improving quality. Identifying resources for building capacity and increasing affordability for both center-based and family child care. And then also finding new strategies to address the pipeline concerns that we know exist in the early ed sector, as well as retention challenges. One of the most rewarding pieces of this experience over the past year, and I think my task force colleagues would agree, was a series of 14 listening sessions that we held, right? 9 of them were in person and 5 were held virtually. These listening sessions were opportunities to hear from all of you on what's working well and where the challenges remain. More than 750 people attended those listening sessions, and we also received feedback from more than 350 people through email and online surveys. This feedback was invaluable and went a long way toward informing our recommendations that are in the report that's released today. I don't want to go on any longer. I'm excited to have a conversation here with my colleagues, moderated by Chair Belcito. The recommendations in the report will be instrumental in bringing thoughtful and innovative solutions to ensure that Massachusetts leads the way in addressing the challenges in the early education sector, and we are ready to roll our sleeves and get to work on it. Now I'll turn it over to Chair Belcito.
Thank you, Secretary. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Following the Secretary is always difficult, and now that he has stolen my talking points of expressing gratitude at the forefront of the meeting, my talking points mean nothing. But there's one person that he didn't get to say thank you to, which I can, and that's to you. For your leadership. Your leadership is contagious because of the commitment you have to centering children, teachers, and families at the center of the work that we do every single day across the Secretariat. And we are grateful for your leadership. And I might add, also a belated happy birthday. And so a lot to celebrate today. And I agree with you. I think we all needed to be in this room together today to celebrate the good work. I often think about the experiences of children and families and how they think about government. And I've said this before, but they don't think about how we talk secretariat to secretariat, right? They think about how government interacts with them on a day-to-day basis. And I can't think of a better example than the work that you all have led over the last year and what's to come. It's a pleasure to be here at Ellis Early Learning Center. Lord, thank you for hosting us today as we discuss the progress of the Governor's Interagency Early Education and Child Care Task Force. As we release the Year 1 Task Force report today, we're reminded of the critical role early education and child care play in the well-being of children, families, and our economy. This work is not just about expanding access, it's about ensuring high-quality, affordable, and sustainable child care solutions that support working families across Massachusetts. I want to echo the Secretary's gratitude to my fellow board members who are here today for their unwavering commitment to this shared work of ours. Your dedication to building a stronger, more equitable early education system is driving meaningful change. Thank you. We have a distinguished panel today who have been instrumental in leading this work, and I'm looking forward to hearing your insights on the progress made and the road ahead. So, Secretary Howe, if it's okay, we'll start with you.
Do it.
You know, even just as I got here today, meeting a number of the task force members, it's just awesome to hear people throughout government talking about early education and the role that they can play. And so I'm curious to you know, just some of the things that you've learned through the process from your seat.
Yeah, no, great. Well, thank you so much, Chair, and huge thanks to everyone. We are so lucky. I'm a broken record, but we have the best team. And especially right now in these times that we're in, I feel so grateful to be part of Team Massachusetts and have this incredible group working together on these important issues. So thank you so much. I'm very honored. So I learned a lot in this process. This is a very thorough process. I'll list a couple of them. Unlike my colleagues, I have actually no notes. All I have is a cookie, but I'm reflecting. So one is I do economic development. So I go meet with CEOs of big companies, I meet with small businesses, I did a quantum conference yesterday, I did a life sciences thing today. I don't go to that many meetings where there are so many tiers. So what you realize when you talk about early education and childcare, this is very emotional. This is about people's children. Every single listening session I went to, when we heard parents and we heard the providers and everyone speak, there were almost always multiple, if not almost constant tears, because this is something that is to the core of our values. And so it kind of, you can look at the report, you can look at all the data, I'm an economist, you can kind of get lost in all the facts, but at the end of the day, you have to remember, this is something that's just fundamental. It's about the people that you love the most, and it's about our future. So that's one thing that was very good to be reminded of. And yeah, we don't have that many tears in economic development, but this was very emotional. The second thing I learned and was reminded of is this is a hard problem. If this was easy, someone would have solved it. And again, I'm an economist, so I was kind of like, why doesn't this market work? And you realize it is a case of market failure. The value to society and to the state is so big, but the way that the market is structured is such that it's too expensive for people who need childcare, and yet the people who are doing childcare don't get paid enough. That is a classic market failure situation, which means this is a hard problem. But guess what, Massachusetts? I wear my JFK bracelet. We don't do things because they're easy. We go to the moon because it's hard. So this is a hard problem, and we need to solve it. The other thing I was reminded of is that from an economic development perspective, this is a massive high ROI investment. The return on investment, it's very expensive, it's big dollars. But if you think about the carry-on impacts from all of the good things that happen from kids being in school at an early age, there's so many benefits across every secretariat. But from an employer perspective, it is a big deal. We have a labor workforce shortage in so many parts of our economy right now. And to get more parents into the workforce is a big deal. And to have them be able to work and focus on work and know that their kids are safe and getting great education, that is a big draw for employers. The other thing is, from an economic development perspective, these are amazing small businesses. Much of this sector is run by moms and women, and they employ a lot of moms and women. This is an important part of this, our economy to support. So this is a big economic development priority. I would say the last thing is that, this is one critique I have of our team. We are very good in Team Massachusetts of pointing out all the things that are terrible, and the weather, and the taxes, and the traffic, and blah, blah. I will say we are not great at celebrating. And so we definitely have work to do. I'm very proud of this report, and there is a very detailed set of actionable recommendations that we will follow up on together. But we should be proud. We have made some real progress. And you'll remind me this. First of all, I think we should say this more. After the pandemic, and during the pandemic, the federal government supported every state for childcare. After the pandemic, there is exactly one state that is still subsidizing childcare. But let's just take a moment to say how proud we are and grateful to be in the one state that is still investing in this area. The other thing I will say is that, you've said this in cabinet, but how many seats have we added?
A little more than 15,000 in 2 years.
15,000 seats have been added in 2 years. That is real progress in closing the gap. And so we have more work to do.
I have to double check.
But we should celebrate. 17. But we should do, we should do just a little bit of pausing to make sure that we celebrate the progress. And we still have a lot of work to do, but we are making that progress together, and it's working. So those are some of the things I learned.
Excellent.
So,
I love it. Secretary Jones, again, from your seat and your role within government, love to hear what you learned throughout the process.
Well, thank you, Chair. And again, echoing my fellow secretary's comments, it's amazing to see a room, many familiar faces, but also just people that are dedicated. This is a process where we're supporting our youngest learners and ensuring their future can be bright. And the fact that we're investing in that here in Massachusetts is heartening in a time where we need to find those golden nuggets that can lift you up. So what I learned from this, coming into this experience, I was fortunate to have some dose of understanding of how important early childhood education is to our economy and to our workforce. But I think one thing that was emphasized that I want to underscore here and lift up is just how important it is that we are investing in building the pipeline of educators. We know that trying to ensure that we have the infrastructure so that we are able to bring people back into the workforce, they depend on this as part of their caregiving network and their education support for their children. But we also have to build up the education pipeline. And so much goes into that. And the listening sessions were so helpful to hear directly from training providers and educators themselves who really were yearning to hear to listen rather. They were yearning for us to hear them, which we really used it as a listening and learning experience to professionalize the industry. Early educators are also educators, and we have a whole system of supporting our K through 12 educators that we continue to invest in and support. But we need to think about how we can professionalize our early childhood educators and attract more to come into the industry. And provide good wages and benefits to support our educators. They're playing such a critical role in our earliest learners, and they should be lifted up. And I think that was something that stood, consistent in all of these sessions that we heard from so many people. And we certainly, I think, integrated that into the recommendations that we shaped, but it may not be called out as special as it was to hear directly from people across every region of the Commonwealth to recognize how important that is as we look to do this work. And also, I think I want to just lift up and appreciate the experience of being in government. I've been in government before coming into the Healey-Driscoll administration, came back. This was a great exercise of lifting up this whole of government approach. Breaking down silos is like my love to be able to do in government, and this was an awesome way of tactically doing that, working alongside my fellow co-chairs. But we have so many representatives from across every single secretariat here, and a huge opportunity to learn of the tools in their toolbox that can help support this industry, help to collaborate even more with EEC, and really just break down those silos so that we can do even more and have a greater impact. And that includes teaming up with our friends in the legislature as well, because it does take that whole of government approach to be able to deliver and to continue the great investments that we continue to shine right here in Massachusetts.
Thank you. Commissioner, I'm going to come to you, and then this is an important question for this work, and so I will ask we'll come right down the road here on this one, but the executive order called for a whole of government approach to child care. Can you talk about a partnership or a connection you developed through this work that you're excited about with another agency?
Absolutely. So my goddaughter, when she was 8, she's 11 now, I remember asking her, what's your favorite color, Louisa? And she was like, all of them. And she skipped off down the street. And that is how I feel about this report and the partnerships that have been created here. When I had the opportunity to return to EEC in 2022, and what an incredible moment to have this opportunity to serve in this role, it was clear that the problem was complicated and that we were going to need a much bigger strategy than anything that could be done at the agency. And so at the same time that we were making incredible investments from this administration, from our legislative partners, in the things at the agency that needed to operate better, be stronger, be more modern, be more flexible, be focused on what parents and families really need, and we're doing that work. But we weren't really going to be able to bring the transformation to really deliver on what kids need, on what families need, and what the economy can benefit, unless we had everyone across state government. So this has been such a remarkable experience, and I want to just lift up that we have our partners from technology, health and human services, transportation, veterans affairs, labor and workforce development, economic development, energy and environment, where we got to really talk about not just what needed to happen at EDC to strengthen this sector, but what each of the partners could do. And everyone brought their best, strongest selves to this work. And I will just say that not only are we the only state that preserved that federal era funding, but I bet we're the only state where you have the Secretary of Economic Development saying that child care and early education are the most important investment. And I bet we're the only state where the Secretary of Labor and Workforce Development actually knows exactly what the experience and needs are of the early education and care workforce and is bringing those resources to bear. And we have our folks in transportation and technology and health and human services all back at their agencies thinking about how do we make sure our resources for small businesses, for the T or in transportation, for making technology more accessible, actually help the early education and care workforce. So this is a bright spot today, and I can't pick a favorite part.
And you like all the
Sorry.
colors, I get it.
I like all the colors.
It's all right, it's good work. Secretary Jones, can you just talk about maybe a relationship or partnership that you might have popped through the last year for you?
Yeah, again, I don't want to choose favorites, but I am going to say, to give credit to Commissioner Kershaw, we didn't have the opportunity to really work closely together in our first year. And a year ago, January of 2024, we had the opportunity to come together to co-chair this. And I remember the first meeting that we had, and you recognized how important this opportunity would be to bring everyone all together to support your work, but knowing also that there was some important work that you'd already been doing, but it was a much bigger opportunity. And I felt like you acknowledged that with such grace, and you just were really open to hearing from everybody else for the fresh ideas. So I want to just lift up your leadership and partnership in doing that. And I think also I want to kind of tie together where we, within labor and workforce development, it's not rocket science, right? But having some great conversations, realize how we can build up with the work that we're doing. Kristen from our Division of Apprentice Standards is here. We have nearly 300 apprentices, 270 to be exact, currently enrolled in registered apprenticeship programs that are becoming early childhood educators. That's huge. We're teaming up and leveraging that. Exactly. Looking at how technical on-the-job training can, related instruction can help support a pathway to a meaningful career. And I know there's so many partners, and I'll get in trouble if I start shouting out, but that have helped to lift up that important work. And I know Secretary Santiago couldn't stay, but he popped in and made me think also how veteran services, how we can provide a pathway that may not have even been thought about for our veterans. And as we think about the time that we're in now and the uncertainty of how our veterans are getting impacted, this is exactly why just a few days ago we stood up mass.gov/FedUp, because we know that there are amazing jobs right here in Massachusetts, both in state government, cities and towns, and small businesses, child care providers that are looking for a workforce, and we are welcoming that here in Massachusetts. So I think I appreciate that I've learned from you and that we've been able to break down those silos in government to get real great work done, and we're celebrating that, but we have more work to do, and appreciate that partnership.
Thank you, Secretary. Secretary Howe.
I will choose one. My favorite color is purple. One thing I'm really excited about is we worked very closely with education in one of our quasis. So one thing that's interesting about state government in Massachusetts is we run a lot of our programs for these quasis that we have. So we have many of them, but in particular, I chair the Board of Mass Development. And our office and Mass Development work very close with your office to say, we have these resources to give out investments in capital to all of these different childcare providers. They have to upgrade their plumbing, they have to upgrade their roof, they have to upgrade their HVAC, they have to upgrade their flooring. But you guys don't usually give out capital investments to businesses. That's not what education does, but that's what we do. And Mass Development has a whole infrastructure, and so we're actually coming together to run that program through us to help give them that. And also, in addition to that, that introduces them to all the other small business supports that we have. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and thank you for that partnership.
Yeah.
I know in speaking with a lot of family child care centers, that this work is really important to them, to feel seen, to feel heard, and to feel valued as part of the ecosystem. And so leveraging the talent of Mass Development to do that has been awesome, so thank you. Secretary Tutwiler, same question.
Well,
And I will say, in more gratitude to the Secretary, I also like breaking down silos. Like, I just think that's how people experience government, is they want it when they want it, and they want it efficiently. And under your leadership, you know, I love when we're even talking about within your own secretariat, right? About partnership with DESE, partnership with the Board of Higher Education around career pathway, around early literacy. Like, the more that we see that, the more contagious it gets because it works, right? You can see the results and there's more people going in the same direction. So I'll pose that to you about when you look across government, maybe a partnership or something that, you know, surprised you through the process that you're excited about looking forward.
yeah, well, first I want to stage a small protest that I didn't get to answer the first question.
I'm also the timekeeper, and so I'm trying to respect everyone's time.
All right, so just quickly, because I think my answer to that is tied to the answer of the second question, which is this work cannot be done in isolation, right? You know, just partnering, and we're besties right here. We also work together on the workforce group as well.
STEM Council.
And STEM Council. Okay, so
We're around a lot.
yeah, we're around each other a lot. But we've never really engaged in conversations about early education until this task force. And I learned a whole new vocabulary that I did not heretofore have. Market failure was not in my lexicon as an educator prior to Yvonne Howe joining this group. And so the early education sector is large and it is complex. It's going to take all of these perspectives, all of this expertise, all of these ideas to get us to a place where we want it to be in terms of access, affordability, protecting high quality. And so one of the things I want to say that I learned is that it actually is going to take this to get us there. And we have really cherished all of the perspectives that everyone has brought to this work thus far. I can't necessarily identify a specific favorite. I really loved all of the ideas that people have brought to the table. I will say, given that we went to the same elementary school in Champaign, Illinois, Rebecca Tepper, the EDA secretary, I love their contribution to this work around outdoor learning spaces. I mean, that is a contribution that, honestly, I wasn't expecting. But that's a way that they also can lean into this work to have impact so that kids are having those quality experiences. So that's one that I would have done. Not a favorite, just one that surprised me.
And I would encourage folks, as you talk to folks, as I did, there's so many small examples of, we talked earlier about transportation and just the transportation needs of centers like Ellis around safety around the building, when buses are like these things that you take for granted but are so critical to children's safety every single day. So lots of examples, I think, of ways that we're already seeing this work move forward. So, we year in released the report, the work is not done. We've heard a number of times about how hard this work will be. What do each of you want to see kind of flourish in the next phase of this work? Secretary Jones?
I'll take it. So I look forward to everyone being able to read and digest the report. There's an exciting opportunity that I think through our Workforce Skills Academy, we've already been having conversations, especially between education and labor and workforce development, to bridge really a workforce pathway between Mass Educate and Mass Hire, our network of career centers and resources for job seekers and employers. And I think as you look at what does that look like for each occupation and industry we have in Massachusetts, well, this gives you an opportunity when you think about early childhood education, leaning into the opportunities that our community colleges are now providing through free community college for all. and to connect that training, certifications, credentials that will be afforded by each of our community colleges as a direct pathway, and ensuring that in each of our regions that where our Mass Higher are located are also with the regions where our community colleges are, and to make sure that they are connecting the students who are enrolled to the career opportunities that we know are needed in every single region of our state. And but for this team coming together, I don't know if we would have seen the light as easily. Again, it's not rocket science. It's like just bringing everyone all together with that intentionality. And I really look forward to seeing some great examples get lifted up thanks to that kind of partnership.
Excellent, thank you. Secretary Howe.
Yeah, maybe I'll highlight 2 things. One is that our office is launching right now a concept called the business front door. So the idea is that if you're a nonprofit or a small business or a huge company, and you're trying to figure out how do I work with Massachusetts? I need help. I don't understand regulatory. I need help with taxes. I need help with finding workforce. I need help finding space. Today, you're going to a gajillion different websites and trying to fill out a million different forms, trying to navigate that. That is a lot of work, especially if, in this case, you're also trying to take care of a bunch of kids. So we are trying to make this as simple as possible where you can go to one place, business front door, type in, I run a child care center, I employ 10 people, I'm in Pittsfield, I need help with X. And then we will respond to you with, here's the right agency, whether it's labor or education or our office or somewhere else, and here's the thing that we think that you need. Let us have a concierge follow up with you. So I think this is going to be great for so many of these child care operators because they are scrambling. This is a hard business. It's very people intensive, it's very time consuming, there are a lot of emotions, and there's a lot of regulation. So we want to make sure the business front door is accessible to them. So that's one thing that's launching right now. The second thing is, you will see in the report, we had a lot of discussions with employers. And this is a big employer issue. I'm not sure we came up with any one specific recommendation per se. I think there needs to be more conversations. Employers come in all shapes and sizes. There's different geographic issues. There's different kind of demographics. And so I think there needs to be more conversations about how we can work with employers on this topic. So we're excited to follow up on it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Secretary Tutwiler.
Yeah, so I'm going to ask that they turn those cameras off because I'm going to admit something right now. Watch they zoom in. I am a reformed K-12 person. And by that, I mean my knowledge of early education and care and my previous 23, 24 years as a K-12 educator was surface level at best. I have gotten a real education around the importance of this sector. Thank you to Commissioner Kershaw, to the board, and all of the empirical data and research that supports its importance. I will say that there are many ties that bind, but there's one that I would lift up, which is the quality of the educator in each classroom, in every early educator provider, has an impact on that student's growth, has an impact on that student's development. And so everything that's in this report is super important, but the pieces that lean into supporting the pipeline, that lean into supporting retention of early educators are the ones that I feel the most strongly about. And that's inclusive of, thanks to HHS, the pieces around exploring healthcare. How do we expand that for that sector? The pieces about, and I'll say it, Secretary Howe said it earlier, the salaries, the pay. These are the things that I think are really, really important, and we care about this sector as a whole. We care about the young people who are being served so incredibly by these educators. We have to ensure that we're respecting them first and foremost and taking care of them.
Thank you. Commissioner Kershaw, last word before we close.
Maybe I'll just use the opportunity to share a little bit about what comes next for the task force. So everyone.
Can we do that now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just take this time, and then and then if the secretaries want to have a last word for everyone too. So I guess I also wanted to add that at this moment, sort of in the federal context of kind of the chaos and deconstruction of things that we hold dear, that having this bright spot moment to be with all of you and to celebrate the work that's coming out, I feel so proud and excited about the work that's in this task force report. And I feel like it really represents Massachusetts. Sort of, we're like bonded and strong and playing our game. And that's what this task force absolutely feels like 100% to me. So I couldn't be more. You can see we have new advocates for early childhood education across the state government, and you didn't even get to hear from all of them. Yeah, but you will. Like we did with the task force report, I think we're taking a very roll up our sleeves approach to the next steps of this work. So we didn't kill a lot of trees today, thankfully, so you can take a look online. At the report, there are 31 recommendations that cross multiple areas around quality and affordability and access. They draw on the leadership across state government, and they will evolve. This is a 3-year task force, at least. We'll see. Our approach is really going to be very much like we take an approach for the task force, which is that we're going to dig deeply in. So I'm really grateful to say that Dana Sullivan's here from the Office of Administration and Finance. She's the Chief Strategy and Operations Officer. The movement over into ANF for the management and oversight of the implementation of the task force work represents this administration's deep commitment to making sure that this work gets done and that it sit on top of the agencies to make sure it happens. So as you will see in the recommendations, they are quite different. Some of them require 2 agencies to work together. Some of them require 4 agencies to do a bunch of research. Some of them are going to require us to do some focus groups with folks in the field to understand what are the benefits that you really need and where are the gaps in those services. Some are going to require us to go out and research how transportation is set up around some of our child care programs and how that relates. Some of it's going to require us to work with the business community to understand, hey, all those benefits and discounts you give to our K-12 teachers, how can we get those for our early educators? And so because each of those recommendations are fairly nuanced, we've created a cross-divisional project management team under Dana Sullivan's leadership that will be assigned. Each recommendation has a lead agency and secretariat assigned to it for accountability purposes, as well as a project management staff. And the opportunity for stakeholder engagement will be at the recommendation level. So it won't be sort of general, like we were able to get feedback generally about what are the needs in the field. All of these recommendations are based on things we heard. There needs to be stronger special education connections for kids that are in our community-based settings. How can we work across our systems? Hey, when we're building housing, which is a giant need in the state, how are we thinking about childcare needs in that? And so I'm really excited for us to be able to move into this next phase. We definitely anticipate there'll be new recommendations and new needs and new innovations and ideas that come up as we move through. But the commitment to sort of continuing to roll up our sleeves, assign people to continue the work, and to continue to communicate and engage with our stakeholders is built into this next phase of the task force. So couldn't be more grateful for the leadership here, for our board members who are here, who will help make sure we have accountability, and to all of you who brought your voices to the listening sessions and continue to provide feedback. We're sitting on your shoulders as we move this work forward. So looking forward to the next steps with all of you.
Can we get a round of applause for the panel? The conversation today makes it clear that we are at an exciting moment here in Massachusetts, reimagining childcare, which is so exciting. The work of the task force reflects a deep commitment to collaboration, innovation, and long-term solutions that will benefit all of us. Behind every policy, every initiative, and every solution, there are dedicated public servants, individuals who have committed their careers to serving the people of this Commonwealth. Public service is the backbone of progress, and yet too often is undervalued, underappreciated, and lately even attacked. Today I want to end with some gratitude and to recognize and express my gratitude to the dozens of public servants across each of your secretariats who are working tirelessly to make the work of this task force a reality. Your commitment to the people of Massachusetts is not just commendable, it's essential, and we all thank you. I also want to add my thanks to the hundreds of people across the Commonwealth who added their voice to this, particularly the dedicated early education and care field and sector, who we ask a lot of on top of their day-to-day responsibilities. But what we're asking them is, how do we improve the system for them? And they're adding their voice, and I hope today is another piece of evidence to show that that time committed to going to public hearings and sharing those stories is being heard, and we are listening and we are acting. And so, Commissioner, thank you for sharing the next steps on how we will act on some of these recommendations. Thank you again to the panel. Thank you to the task force. Thank you to my fellow board members. This work is about solutions. We're going to get there. It's really hard work. But here in the Commonwealth, I think we know how to do that. I think we know how to lead. I do also want to thank, and Secretary Howell mentioned it, but just even in the room, it shows you the breadth of the community that is committed to this work. We have friends in philanthropy that are here. We have members of the business community that are here in the room. I want to thank our friends in the legislature for their commitment to this work. This is a whole community approach to getting this right, and so grateful for all of you for taking the time today to be here. And lastly, Lauren, this place is beautiful. Thank you so much to you and your team. These events don't just happen. I am sure this has been a chaotic week for you here to pull this off, and so please express thanks to your entire team for helping to create this amazing environment for us to be in this afternoon. We all have a great afternoon. Thank you.